that I do in terms of dealing with, what happened with me as a child. Well, you know, when my dad was alive, I really, after I got over that whole period of hate and that period of wanting to murder him and wanting to um, basically destroy him, I started to talk to him. Now, granted, I did not. This is the only. I really, you know, some people say they have regrets. Well, this may be a regret, may not be. I don't know, but I would like to have spent more time to go even more in depth to get an understanding because, he and I really did not have that um, final confrontation. The conversations I'm discussing now are more peripheral and more, I guess, warming up and getting there because I was in the state of getting therapy, counseling, coaching, what have you, and just dealing with the issues. And what happened is he actually died before I was able to confront him. Now, I was able to confront my brother, and it's amazing when you do confront someone that is your abuser, because my brother essentially, and I was told, I was warned. I said, you know, and all the people I talked to and all the studies I had, what have you, I was warned that he would, as many do, would not acknowledge what he had done. And true to the course, he did not. But we had the conversation, and the funniest thing is after that, my wife and I would go on for quite a while, and we sent Christmas cards to all of our families, including this brother. And the thing that was so amazing a couple years ago, when I get a card back from him that says this person doesn't live here anymore. Now, mind you, he's lived in the same house for some 30, 35 years. So, but the key, again, the devil that you know is better than the devil you don't know. And what's really funny about that whole term or concept that I was given to learn to understand is that my great aunt actually called my dad that little devil. And I laughed, and it's like, wow, how did she know? And then it's amazing because we get these people who over time have observed my brother, who will, we may get some reading on him, but they've observed him, and they see him the same way. They call, the little devil. So, in saying all of that, and you YouTubers or you viewers are watching this, understand that this whole area of incest and exposure of this incest, exposure of this family ties, family relations, is obviously, well, not obvious, but it's not necessarily a comfortable thing that I, at 65, have taken the last, what is it now, 10, 15 years, and written these two books that expose all of this and bear this to the world. these experiences that I've had, and breaking it down from on the one side in the don't say a word about this in a very analytical way, and in the teddy bear stolen innocence, uh, breaking it down on a very personal level. But this gives, I believe, credence to the fact that this really happened. I lived through it. Others were involved. And when you understand that it's not just limited to me, and it's not just limited to people of color, particularly black people, it becomes such a much broader thing. This is a dynamic thing that is going on in our society, and it has no barrier because of color. See, whether you are Afro American, as I am, or let's say you're Anglo, or you are Asian, or you are brown skin. Okay, what's the other one? Whatever the other one is, there's 5, I think, groups. Okay, but whatever, if you've got red blood in you, okay, if you have red blood and you are a male or female, and you happen to be born in a family that, as all families are, but each family has a different dysfunctionality. You're born in a dysfunctional family, because I said all families are dysfunctional. Then, and you got one that's has the proclivity or the desire to have sexual relations with each other. Hey, you're in it. You're part of it. So that gives kind of the overview. And like I said, I would go, if you would, to the website, drdue.com, drdue.com, and look at the resources that are there. Look at the healing, deliverance, the options that are there. And there's an out. If you are a perpetrator, I mean, hey, you're watching this because you think, well, he's going to say something provocative that will turn me on. No, I'm not going to. At least it's not my intention. But let's just say you are a perpetrator. The message I have is for you as well as the victim. I mean, it's just not, this is a real deal that goes two ways. And so, as the Lord made me clearly understand when I started writing this first book is to males and females. It's not just to men. This thing is real. It's real. Now, let me read from. We're going to read from this first book here. Don't say a word about this. Exposing and confronting sexual perversion. And this is chapter 7. And just kind of do a little highlight here to bring us into the behavioral profile of an abuser. We have identified the basic behavior patterns of abusers. Now let us work to create a more complete profile. Keep in mind that not every abuser will display all of the characteristics. And incidentally, as you reading this book, if you choose to get it, you want to get it, understand that we have questions at the end of each chapter. This is a resource that some schools are using. It goes on to say, abusers show many of the same behavior patterns as victims do. This stands to reason, we've already discussed that fact, that former victims often become abusers. And that is something that I know people have said, well, why didn't you go on and become one? Well, I had that little awakening that you'll read about. And God spared me. So, but that happens. And so then we go on and say it's often abusers openly admit to committing the abuse, particularly after they have been discovered. And my thoughts on that, that's not in the book, but are that, hey, that's mainly because they really are tired of that pattern. There's a place where they want to break out of that. But here's what happened. The following are examples of behavior of abusers and some underlying causes. First one, loss of control. A person with unresolved issues in their past, often sexual abuse as a child, can develop abusive behavior when they are in the presence of someone vulnerable, particularly a child. And, you know, as I was stating in the very beginning of the program tonight, that is still just does, it amazes me to see a grown man or a grown woman uh, be wanting and expressing and doing things to a child, and particularly if it's incest and they do it to their own child. It's just, I still can't really comprehend that. Maybe you can. Let's go on. It says, they are controlled physically and mentally by their sexual organs and are unable to stop themselves from taking advantage of the unsuspecting victim. Now, that is what I clearly have just, you know, if we were to just cut everything out, let's just say, let's just really get down to what causes abuse. I mean, if you want to just really just go right to it, it's because you've got somebody who has a sexual urge, and it doesn't matter whether it's a tree, their briefcase, or their son or daughter, or somebody else's son or daughter. If that person is in the way or as a target, and they cannot control themselves, and they're able to get to that person without, for a while anyway, bringing themselves down, they're going to do it because that flesh, their body just, it's driving them. It's driving them to fulfill this desire. And of course, I go on to say here in my writing in this definition, the abuser is unable to practice self-control over his or her body and uses whatever person, here it is available for their own sexual gratification. We could have just said whatever, not even put person there. You know, we want to really get dirt down and dirty. They lose control and act out their issues by molesting, abusing, or practicing incest on the available child. Now, that is what happens. I mean, it's just, and it's so devastating. It's so really just unbelievable that it's happening. And yet, what's going on in our society right now, this whole thing, from what I can see with regard to all of the research, that I'm doing, and can keep reading and looking at the alerts that we have, looking at the various stories, looking at the many books that are coming out, looking at the exponential number of men and women who are sharing what happened to them. And yes, as a man, for me, it's really, and a black man, oh my God, you know, because see, our society, our group of folks, the black folks, we don't, so many of us don't want to go to a doctor. We don't believe in psychologists, psychiatrists, counselors, you know, and barely just believe in some preacher. And with the amount of corruption that we are seeing in the church, I mean, you know, where do black people really go today? I mean, to really get true answers, candid answers, and answers that are in love and in kindness and that build people up rather than tear them down, or go and be used. So many, you know, I hear this all so often. Women say, "Well, I went to talk to this person, and in talking to this person, uh, it led from the, you know, I'm sitting in front of the desk, and the next thing I know, we're on the couch, and before we get off the couch, you know, he's got a motel or hotel booked. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. So the the ethics and the some of the stuff that so many leaders are into. I shouldn't say so many, but some leaders, because I don't believe it's all. It's not all, but you got those that are using, whether it be a psychologist, like we just saw the thing with the psychiatrist who had some sex with his student, or the teachers that are having sex with the female teachers having sex with their students, versus the male. You know, that was always a big thing, but now, particularly here in Colorado, I'm sure in the last year, just the last year, we've had probably I don't know, 5 to 10 cases of females throughout Colorado having sex with their young students, and then we've had a couple of incest cases, you know, down in the metropolitan area. It's crazy, but it's real and it's happening, and so the way out of it, particularly if you're in it and you've gone through it, you know, and you were an adult like I was when I was finally starting to get some healing and some transformation, is to deal with it. That's the first thing. Acknowledge it, you know, and then be able to forgive the person that was the abuser. I mean, if you can confront them before all that, do that too. But if you can't get the confrontation done, at least realize it happened, acknowledge it, and then forgive that person, and release that, and then start to get into healthy activities and healthy kinds of living, so that your life doesn't spiral down, down, but that you start to realize that you can live a wholesome and healthy life. We still got the YouTube going, so we're still videoing, so let me just read something also from the book Teddy Bear Stolen Innocence. Now, you know, I encourage you to go to drdew.com and look there. We've got an offer, and check that out. But check the resources. See what's there. See what can help you, because maybe it's not something that you personally need, but there could be someone that's in your family, someone that you know. It could be someone on your job, someone just an acquaintance. Because remember the numbers. I don't use a lot of numbers, but the critical numbers are 1 in 4 females. Every fourth female has some kind of abuse, rape, molestation, something. And 1 in 6. So every 6 male. So you line up 10 guys. So you line up 11 guys. Line up a football team. I think football that out playing is 11 of them. And in that 11, there's at least one of those people that has been, you know, something's happened to them sexually that wasn't right. And if there was a female football team, like the lingerie football, then in that 11, I think it's 11 they play, you would have actually 2 females in that group. So the numbers, it's a lot. Now, those numbers only reflect what has been reported. Think about all of those people who are afraid to report, who are embarrassed to report, who still are walking around with shame, who still are walking around with guilt. All the kinds of things that people have these challenges. So let me just read to you from Teddy Bear Stolen Innocence. What I did in writing this book, um, there are several chapters. There's actually 15 chapters, so that's not several, but well, it's not 50 chapters. It's 15, and it's a fairly small book, so you can read it quickly if you like, and comprehend it hopefully. But in it, I wrote in chapter 6. I read chapter 7 over there. Chapter 6, I have a message to the family, a message to my family. And I did that because, families get so uptight and think, well, why is he sharing all of our business? Why is he putting our stuff in the streets? And so I just was led to write to them. And it starts like this: it says, as you read my words, this side of my life may shock you. This book is not about embarrassing anyone. See, I tell them that right up front. That's not the purpose. The horrible consequences of incest, molestation, and rape in a black family are no different if they were experienced in families of other ethnic backgrounds. And the reason that's so important is because in my research in my first book, I, out of 400 books read, 5 books actually said that black people of Afro descent, were not worth even doing research on. And I was flabbergasted to see that kind of information in books that were written in the last, last 50 years. Because some of the books were older books. I had some fairly new ones. When I say new, back in the late the 1990s. But a lot of the books were in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and then 90s. And because I finished the work, really finished it in the middle of the 2000s, didn't have anything current, much current. But to see 5 books to say that about people of color, to me, it's embarrassing. It's awful. But they said it, and you understand, these were not Afro-American people writing these books. This book is about getting people to talk about these issues and to stop the generational practice of behaviors that continue to hurt our families. Now, you got to understand that is, like I said, being a black man, that is so important. We have secrets. And I tell you, when I went to my sister and was working on the second book and talking about it, and I would start to share with her things that I heard, the whispering as a child, a young fellow, all the whispering that was going on in my family, and then she would confirm it. She says, "You heard that? You really? That's what you heard?" And I would say, "Yeah, that's what I heard. Some of those things." So that is it. And I believe it's not just black families that whisper and do what they do, but I believe also probably all families, because guess what? We're all human, even though we all have different social skills and social behavior and cultural norms. I believe that whispering is just one of the many little, I'll call it evils that parents do, they think they're protecting us as little ones when I was a child, but in actuality, for those of us that were born with good ears, we could hear what was going on. So, hey, this is a real thing, and I want you to know, as I've said, that just because it's happened doesn't mean that you have to live the rest of your life wherever it is, because we have people that are 18, you know, saying, well, I'm going to be messed up 50. The rest of my life, I'm going to be, I'm going to have to be miserable because my uncle, you know, incest me, my uncle raped me, or my brother uh, did what he did. No, you can overcome that and be able to uh, come out and live a healthy, wholesome life. Now, you have added information, added knowledge, I believe, when you start to deal with this and start the healing process that many don't have. So there's an advantage, and it's an advantage that you can utilize uh, as I have been able to do for the betterment of my fellow man, and an opportunity to utilize these skills that I believe God allowed. He allowed me to, because, see, I believe that he knows all things, and He knew that I would go through this, but I believe He also knew that and many others who are coming out and who have come out and overcome would be able to stand flat-footed. Now, today I happen to be sitting, but when I'm standing, stand flat-footed and deal with this in a very loving and caring manner, and not remain bitter, not remain ready to kill somebody, to destroy somebody, to hurt somebody, but to have a different character, one that embraces joy, peace, and happiness. Well, I want to encourage you to go to that drdo.com and check out what's there. And then those of you that are viewing this, you're still viewing me, get a chance, go to Blog Talk Radio. We have that. And on Blog Talk Radio, it says it's blogtalkradio.com/dr DUE. So it's Blog Talk Radio, all one word, blogtalkradio.com/dr DUE. And on there, if you get a chance, you can go back into the archives, and there's a number of things, a number of programs that may deal with an issue or question that's available. We are going to introducing the live private conversations with myself for men only, and that's going to be coming up, and it'll be different than even this venue, where people, if they want to call in, they can and talk. We just have an hour. We're going to have 2 hours, and it's going to be no holds barred. The only thing I'm going to ask the men to do is not cuss. Now, I know that's kind of hard, because I used to be a cusser and a swearer, and I know some words that some of these folks that think they know some words don't know. But no, we're just going to talk, and we're going to talk about hey, whatever that needs to be dealt with for men. And before that, we have an offer coming out that is going to deal with, I think, 5 issues that men don't like to discuss. We'll be getting that out into our email and what have you. So if you're not in our database, get in there so you can take advantage of these offers and this information and this knowledge, because what this is about is providing knowledge and information to bring healing, to bring change, to bring transformation, and offer a way that a person doesn't have to remain miserable. I was miserable for a long time. I was angry for a long time. I had that murdering spirit on me for a long time. And I tell you, when you are free of those things, when you have peace in your spirit, it's a whole new life, and you can live it. remember this thought, those of you that are viewing this, that this is what I got from the Lord. Pain is not for life.